Hello and welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Adio, a social media marketing expert specific to the wedding industry. On this show, I discuss tips to help you DIY your social media, as well as getting the confidence and income to outsource it. Thank you for allowing this episode to come through on your Bluetooth, your car radio, wherever it may be you're listening from today. Now, let's take your wedding business to the next level. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm so glad to have you back here today for another really awesome interview on the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. But before I tell you about our guest, I just wanted to give you some updates, share what's been going on. We're at the tail end of July here, still right in the peak of summer. It's a busy time for all of us, but I have been really thriving on connecting with other wedding professionals, such as our guest today and the past guests we've had. And let me tell you, if the interviews are one thing that's a lot of fun, but even when we just connect, we'll do a Zoom call or a Google Meet and we'll just chat about our businesses, about our lives, about where we live. And it's so fulfilling and so helpful. So if you've been wanting to increase connection with other people in your industry, I am challenging you to take the plunge and ask if anyone would want to get together on a chat because it's really just made such a great impact for me these past few weeks. And through that, I was able to really work this out with some other professionals. And I decided that for a limited time, as we're at the wedding season, I'm going to be offering one on one coaching. So if that's something you felt you've been interested in, and you haven't been able to commit to doing full on social media marketing packages with me, we can work together through our one on one coaching. So if you want to hear more about that, send me a message on Instagram at I Do Wedding Marketing and we could talk about it. Today on the podcast, we have somebody really, really special, and she is a sweet and genuine person, which you're going to see through this interview. But what also makes Stephanie Thomas Fitness so special is that she has a virtual based wedding business, and she is able to service brides, primarily brides, but also bridesmaids, mother of the brides, women who are preparing for a wedding. She's able to do it all remotely, which means she can serve people nationwide. Her business is Stephanie Thomas Fitness, and she is a bridal fitness coach. And she has a Facebook group, which is one of her biggest funnels and platforms, which she gets into, but she has just an incredible background. She's a weight management specialist, certified personal trainer, certified health coach, certified nutrition coach, yoga teacher, and I think this is the coolest, a former Miss Maryland Teen USA. So I did ask her about that too. But wow, Steph was able to take her expertise, which is a really, could be really broad, right? Nutrition. And she was able to hyper focus it on the wedding industry. And I think even if you are location based and you're not able to serve brides nationally like Stephanie does, you can get a lot of ideas of how to serve people digitally through this interview because like I said, she has a Facebook group, she has an app. Also, the branding on her website and on her social media is just impeccable. You really should check out her website because I think you're going to love it. And there's a lot you're going to be able to learn from Stephanie. Steph's Facebook group, Sweating for the Wedding, is going to be linked in the show notes, as well as all of her other social media outlets and her website, so you can get in touch with her. I know she's really just loving getting in touch with other wedding professionals and being a part of this community. So if you enjoy the interview, don't forget to screenshot it and tag either myself at I Do Wedding Marketing or Steph at Stephanie Thomas Fitness, and it's Stephanie with a PH, so we can see that you enjoyed it. Now, really quickly, before we get into the interview, I do just want to spotlight our sponsor for the show. I Do Wedding Marketing podcast is brought to you by Your Real Wedding Photos Club. It is a photo and video membership for wedding pros. So every month you receive 100 real royalty free wedding photos and 10 videos to your inbox that you can use without any reservation on your website, on your social media, etc. So if you're looking for content, if you're in the early stages of your business, or if you're just looking for more photos because maybe you don't have them all, this is a fantastic resource. They're for real weddings and it's just going to look beautiful on your feed. So to get the pricing information on that, you can go to I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast/sponsors, and I'll have that link down below as well. They have some different signups you can do as low as $37 if you do monthly, or an annual cost of $347, which will save you from if you do it monthly. So check that out in the show notes below. But now let's chat with Stephanie Thomas of Stephanie Thomas Fitness. Stephanie, thank you so much for being here on the I Do Wedding Marketing podcast. Where are you coming from today?
Thank you so much for having me, Nina. I am coming from Maryland today.
Oh, fantastic. We're both on the kind of northeast coast, so that's nice. Same
Yes,
time zone, right?
makes it easy.
I am so excited to be talking about your business. I raved about it in the intro, but can you talk about Stephanie Thomas Fitness in your own words?
Yes, so I am a bridal personal trainer and I am all about helping brides really find a routine that they enjoy, that they can stick to, and that they look forward to doing. I know that there's so many quick fixes out there, and I try to educate brides so that they know how to lose weight or reach their goals the right way, the healthy way, and without any unhealthy habits.
That's got to be really challenging because sometimes especially we see in the wedding industry, and I think a lot of us vendors see it, especially if you're working as a photographer or in the bridal salons. Brides go under a lot of pressure in their engagement period, which can be short. Let's say it can be as short as 3 months to 3 years. Let's say they want to lose a lot of weight. How does that expectation management work?
I am very honest with my brides and I'm upfront about, if they say they want to lose 30 pounds in a month, I tell them, that's not really possible. And I educate them on what is possible and how we can get them closer to their goals. But it is hard to see when brides, they think that they can lose a lot of weight really quickly because that's what we were taught when we were looking at marketing. And all these fitness companies tell us that we can have that great transformation really quickly, but that's really not realistic.
It's so great to see your platform because I follow you and I love seeing when you talk about walking because I'm like that I can do. I can go for
Yes.
a walk. So it's great to see something that promotes fitness as well as realistic expectations and body positivity. So I just want to commend you for that. How
Oh,
did
thank
you
you.
go from training to it being specific to the bridal industry?
So I started out as like a normal personal trainer and, working mostly with women, but, any woman at any stage of her life and any goal. But I realized that so many of my clientele were actually brides. And I realized I really love working with people who are very dedicated. They have a goal, they want to work hard towards it. So I just completely niche down to working with brides and people who are wanting to get ready for an event like a wedding. So I do work with mothers of the bride and bridesmaids.
That's great.
Um, yeah.
So do you ever have, because you also have an app that's part of your business model as well as all your online material, do you ever have entire bridal parties kind of all signing up together?
Yes. So one of my offerings is actually a group program where brides can be in a group chat together and they can see when they finish their workouts, always on their own time, but they get to see those notifications when someone does complete a workout. And there are often bridal parties who come to me and they all want to work out. So I put them in one group together. And that's really fun for them because they always get to chat to each other and just motivate each other throughout the process.
I love that. I'm going to tell you something nerdy about me. In COVID, I signed up for the Sesame Street 500-mile challenge, and it was this sponsored walk where throughout the year you had to walk 500 miles, and for every milestone you'd get a Sesame Street pin, and you were in this Facebook group of other nerds who like Sesame Street. But it was so motivating to be in this group atmosphere and to log in your miles or your walks. So I love that you have offered that for a bridal party. That is just so smart and must be so beneficial to those who are in it.
Absolutely. And that is so cute. I love that idea. But
Yes.
that is pretty much like I have the wedding version of it. So
Hmm.
yeah, it is
Yeah.
very motivating for brides.
Yeah, you can kind of do, I don't want to say the biggest loser because that's part of the marketing of like mass weight loss really quick, but you
Right,
can do
right.
like the healthiest loser, the loser of the wedding, and kind of just
Yes.
inspire you all to do it. So, what was it like when you realized, okay, I'm a personal trainer, but now I really want to focus on doing it for bridal? I'm going to start my own business, Stephanie Thomas Fitness.
It was a complete shift in my messaging, really trying to learn what stage brides are at, just my messaging overall.
Mhm.
All of my social media, my website got redone. So it was a lot of work shifting from being a general personal trainer to a bridal personal trainer. And I do have to say, I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed learning more about my clientele and my niche. And it was just very necessary to be done as well.
To me, it sounds like it must have been a relief to go from marketing essentially to anybody who just wants to lose weight to knowing your exact audience. It must have been
Yes,
really kind of freeing, just being like, all right, I know what I'm going to do now. Which you think the opposite, that's freeing to market to anybody. But it must just be, I think it's easier to create content when you know the specific person it's for.
it is. It is. That is so true. And as a business owner, you always hear you have to niche down, you have to niche down. And I didn't know how to niche down or to who. But when I found, brides, I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. And that is when everything really shifted. I got, my business just grew so much from that decision.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask about what changes did you see in your sales and growth once you niche down?
Everything started growing. So I attracted more brides to my Instagram and they were just following me on there. And then I have a Facebook group, Sweating for the Wedding. And so many brides want to join that because it's just for them.
Hmm.
So just getting a much larger audience, even though I niche down.
I think what's also so important about that, I experience some of my friends and in your personal life. So when you're getting married, that's normally who you would go to, but not all people are able to talk about dieting and working out. It can be triggering for some people. I have a best friend who has a history with, eating disorders, and she doesn't want to hear any of it. Even if it's healthy, for her it's not, and she doesn't want to hear about it. So knowing that you can have this community where everybody's focused on the same thing, just looking and feeling your best in a healthy way for your wedding. That's got to be so special to host and be a part of.
It is very fun. And I know that not every bride wants to lose weight or wants to get toned. They just simply might not want to be working out, and that's fine. But for the brides who do, I'm there for them. So it is very fun.
How do you attract brides into your Facebook group?
So I post a lot on other Facebook groups and I
Mm.
engage on there. And anytime that someone needs help, I comment. So when I do see any of those unhealthy suggestions, I always comment with my healthier suggestion on how they can lose weight and still feel good.
What sort of groups are you in where you find you're able to kind of do that? And what you're doing is so great because it's organic. It's when somebody's asking and you're answering. So are you just in kind of generic groups, or are they kind of bride specific groups?
They are bride and wedding groups. So I have searched many, many groups, and I only comment in the ones that vendors are allowed to comment in. There are many groups that don't want that. So they're only for brides and their bridesmaids. And I just make sure to follow the rules and only comment in the ones that vendors are allowed in.
Fantastic. And Stephanie, you and I chatted about trying to compile a list of all of those vendor allowed Facebook groups. So I haven't forgotten that. If you guys are listening and you think that would be something good, you'll have to message either of us on Instagram, because I think that would be such a great value, just like knowing where
Yeah.
we can be. And it's, and it's the authentic comment. It's not somebody saying, you're not saying, check out Stephanie Thomas Fitness. You're saying, I think a healthy way to do this is XYZ, or something of value. And that's really important.
Yes. Yeah. And I actually do have a list since we talked. I have
Oh,
my notebook
great.
is filled up. Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We'll have to compare notes.
Yes, we will.
So, how big of a role has your Facebook group played in terms of getting sales and clients and in the marketing? Is it where people go after the sale, or it's where they're going kind of being nurtured before it?
So my Facebook group really, I don't promote too much of my services in there because I do want it to be like a free community where they can talk to each other. But I do have challenges in there. So I do promote either free or paid challenges, and that is kind of how I get more interest in my business.
Could you give an example of what one of those challenges would be like?
Yeah, so every month I have a challenge. So for July, it's going to be the Booty and Arms Challenge. And I have a calendar, and every day of the month, brides get to follow it. And there's just simple exercises that they can do every single day. And they always look forward to it. So that is a really good way to bring more brides into my group. And that is something I also do promote on other Facebook groups if I'm allowed to. So I do say I have a challenge coming up if who wants to join, and then I share my group.
I love it because I feel like it combines two important things for any goal, which is accountability and community. And so I just love that. And I encourage anybody listening to think how they can do that within their own business. And I know a lot of wedding businesses are different from yours because they're, photography or wedding planning, but there's a lot you can still take away from this of how to offer accountability and community. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, for somebody listening who hasn't niched down, and maybe they just know, I want, that their ideal client is a bride and groom looking for a wedding service, how would you encourage them to niche down further, kind of like you did?
So it's hard to say in general, but if I'm thinking of like, let's say a photographer, I would think about what is your style and what do you really enjoy shooting the most? What types of weddings? And then just show more of that on your Instagram, on your website, and show the images that really reflect who you are. And then you will bring in that clientele.
Yep, I think that's excellent because they are different types of weddings. There are different types of couples. There's different price points. There's different priorities. There are people who prioritize the entertainment. There's people who just want to have the party and go home. Their parents are making them have it. They just want to have it. There's all different types of couples. So I like to explore kind of like the big wedding blog sites. So there's Style Me Pretty, there's Rock and Roll Bride, there's Offbeat Bride, there's Carrots and Cake. It's like look at each of those and decide from there which one of those do you resonate with most, and then kind of niche down your bride and groom from there. Because what Stephanie has shared is that once you know who your audience is and what they prioritize. So Stephanie knows they're prioritizing. This is the bride who does want to tone before her wedding, then it just becomes easy from there, which is just so exciting.
Then it becomes easy for you too, because you're really enjoying the work that you're doing and you are working with people who are more like you. So it's just fun
Mhm.
for everyone.
What I also love about your business from your Instagram, your website, your Facebook group is, to me, it really shows that you've mastered online funnels. So it's kind of like a lead sequence of where somebody who discovers you is going, how they're getting introduced to you, and so forth. So I was wondering if you could share a bit about how you were able to implement a funnel strategy into your business, because for someone who hasn't done one yet, it can seem very overwhelming.
It can be overwhelming, but they can be simple. So mine is very simple. I think that my funnel really does start with the Facebook group.
Mhm.
And from there, they have the opportunity to get onto my email list. And from my email list, all of my offerings come up there. So they have different offerings. They can join my bridal arms challenge. They can join bride groups, the workout program. There's just so much. And really it starts with the Facebook group. So it doesn't have to be very complicated. You don't have to have click funnels. It doesn't have to be very overwhelming.
I was going to ask what sort of research you did when starting to create your email list, your Facebook group, your website.
Mm.
It looks like it was really intentional. It looks, and I encourage you all to go to Stephanie's website. Is it stephaniethomasfitness.com?
Yes, StephanieThomasFitness.com.
It's so polished, so sophisticated. And then as I got to talk to you, I was like, it's really just you outsourcing things you can't do, but really learning and researching a lot. So what I really want to say before this is like the question that won't end, but what I'm saying is it can be done. You've done this basically yourself. So what advice would you have for somebody who wants to have a polished website, an email list, a funnel, and doesn't know where to start?
This is a hard one to answer.
Yeah.
So I have just followed many different experts in the business field and kind of learned a little bit from each person. There's different courses I've taken, but I really want to encourage people that they don't need another course. After taking so many different courses, I realized that you know what's best. You know what is going to work for your business. You know your clients and what you want. So when it comes down to really figuring out what funnel will work best for your business, sit down with a notebook. Don't be Googling a lot of things and trying to take a lot of courses, because that could also only confuse you. You need to look within and see what will make the most sense for you and your business, and write down how you want that to flow. I think that will be the most authentic way to do it, and it will bring in a lot more leads.
Fantastic. You said look within and see what will work for you and your business. That is such great and just honest advice. And to tie it in, it really goes into knowing, you and your business, and knowing who your ideal client is or your target audience is. And funnel has become such a buzzword, but it really is just, you're kind of just dropping easy ways for them to be able to follow you and hear from you, but just leaving a place where they can put in their email, or if they like Facebook better, a place where they can follow you and join your community on Facebook and so forth. So that was really great advice. What do you feel of all your different offerings? Where do you feel the most turnovers with sales comes from? Is it the email list, Instagram? Because I know you said you don't sell as much in the Facebook group.
Yeah, so I think it is mostly email. But interestingly enough, some brides have told me that they have literally Googled bridal fitness or wedding workouts and they found me on Google. So I think
Amazing.
SEO might be working for me.
Yeah, yeah. Fantastic. What is your favorite thing about working with brides?
Like I said earlier, I think that my favorite thing is just working with a woman who's very dedicated. She knows what she wants and she's willing to work for it. Because in fitness, it's not always easy. Motivation's not always there, but when they can picture themselves in their wedding dress on their wedding day and feeling amazing, that is really the motivation they need. And I love working with women who are genuinely motivated.
Do any of them stay within the program after the wedding?
They do, yes. Even before the program ends, before their wedding day, they ask me, how can we continue to work together? How can I keep this up? And yes, many of them do stick with me. So that's always really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Can I ask you some things about Instagram? Like how you were able to get a following and community on there?
So with Instagram, I have to be honest that a long time ago when I had my account, I did a lot of those follow for
Yes,
what was
yes.
the loops that you
Yes,
follow
yes,
people and they
yes,
follow
yes.
you back. And at one point I was following like 7,500 people, which is the max. And I didn't want to be following all those people. So it took some time to unfollow, but that was like I think 3 years ago that I did that. So my following has stayed up because of that.
So we've spoken a lot about how you were able to niche down once you got into fitness, but how did you start in fitness altogether? Before you were fitness and bridal, where did your passion for fitness begin?
So it all began when I was training for a pageant. I was training for Miss Maryland Teen USA back in 2012, and I had to work out. So I started going to the gym regularly, and I really enjoyed how I was feeling, both physically and mentally. And I actually ended up winning the pageant. So that
Ah,
was very
congrats.
exciting. Thank you. It was a very fun time. And I just continued with exercise throughout my reign as Miss Maryland Teen USA. And after I competed in nationals, so I competed for Miss Teen USA in the Bahamas. Um, it was a great experience. But when I got home, I felt so much stress. I felt a lot of anxiety. I said, I will never do a pageant again. That was just too much. And I signed up for a yoga class right away. I actually signed up for a month of unlimited yoga classes, and I took one every single day. And in college, I got certified as a yoga instructor. So that's when my journey of helping women began. I taught classes at my college and then at local yoga studios. And then I got certified as a personal trainer and a health coach. So it's been really amazing to see how everything has grown over the years. But it's really my dedication that has made me successful.
Was the Miss Teen USA your first pageant that you did? Or had you been doing them before that?
I was new to pageants, so I did Miss Maryland Teen USA in 2011, and I got in the top 15, and I just did it the year after, and I won. So I
Wow.
did not have a lot of experience at all.
That's incredible. I'll just share a side story. I have a niece who I feel like is built for pageants. Like I feel like this girl is meant, she would love it. She loves kind of like the discipline of performing on stage and presentation. It's funny, but we're in New York, so there's like no pageants. So I don't know, like, if that if she's gonna even have the opportunity to do it. So when you said you did pageants, I was like,
Yeah, she can get started with Miss New York Teen USA. That's a
hmm.
big one.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll definitely have to look that up after
Yeah.
this. And I wanted to ask, when doing pageants, especially at your age, you were a teen, how how were you able to establish healthy habits at that age, if you were? Did you have any guidelines or people who are helping you keep healthy while also getting in shape at a teenage?
I did have some coaches, but ultimately I just fell in love with yoga, and that's what I stuck to. I did a lot of walking, I did some strength training, but the yoga was really what I stuck with. And my consistency with that really helped me stay in shape.
What I also love about what you shared is that you've revealed that fitness is something that's been a part of you since you were a teen. And so often we can think, well, I know what I do. I do fitness. I've been doing it my whole life and that's it. But it's not it, because as things evolved, you were able to niche down and polish and niche down, and now I mean, you have an app, you have the Facebook group, you have a great following on Instagram, you have a really thriving business where you're able to make your own workouts and give them to people. I mean, that just must feel, do you ever like pinch yourself?
Sometimes I feel like I just don't look back enough and I don't give myself enough credit because, as business owners, I think a lot of people can relate. We're always trying to do more and we don't feel like we do enough.
Yes.
So hearing things like that from you really means a lot because, yeah, we're always just doing so much and not reflecting enough.
So speaking of that, we have a lot of wedding vendors who are listening. Some of them are wedding planners. All of us, though, we're on our feet, particularly over the weekend. We have days where you could be 12 hours on your feet. And then so the days after it, you're kind of just dead at home. And then you have your office days and then it goes back. So it's kind of like your weekends are really high on movement. Your weekdays can be very sedentary doing office work. What fitness advice would you have for people listening?
So, for the days that you are very busy and on your feet, most of all, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. So, make sure that you're drinking enough water. You are moving, so that's great. But for the days that you are sitting a lot, take a break, go outside, get some fresh air, take a walk. And if you do want to have a fitness routine, get your workout done in the morning. That will help you just get mentally prepared for the day. Then you don't have to worry about doing a workout after work. And you just feel like already accomplished because you did something in the morning.
Once I read advice from, she's a life coach, Cheryl Richardson, and she said, take the thing you want to do least and do it first. And for a lot of people, that's working out. So getting that done first can, I think, really impact your day. And I love how much, I'm going to say it again, you promote walking because I feel like it can be a gateway to fitness. It's not intimidating, it's not scary. Anyone can commit to walking. What would you recommend for somebody who really doesn't even walk? Would you recommend maybe they listen to a podcast, or how can someone get started when maybe they're afraid of working out?
If they are afraid of working out, I would encourage them to work with a personal trainer. As intimidating as that is, if you're brand new, a really good personal trainer will understand where you're at and they will give you exercises that are appropriate for you. And they will make sure that you are doing them safely. So if you really have no experience, I would encourage you to work with someone that can make sure that you're doing things correctly and you won't be injuring yourself.
It's fantastic because also those busy days where we are setting up balloons or putting out the aisle runner, it's a lot of physical work, and we do have to keep our health and bodies in shape so that we can keep up with it. I remember when I would be working at the venue, seeing the general managers who had to oversee the events, and they're up late at night and they're on their feet all day. It takes a toll on their body, and I think maybe you can answer on this. There's a misconception that because they're on their feet all day, they don't need to work out. But do you feel that having some strengthening exercises, despite being on their feet all the time, would be helpful?
Yes, definitely. I always tell brides the key to really getting toned is to have strength training in your routine.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Strength training. That's really, I'm thinking right now as I'm slouched on my desk, I'm like, that's what I need. I need to fix my core. So, how do you feel about doing some fill in the blanks kind of rapid fire where I'll say a sentence and you'll just finish it off for me?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. All right. So, I never start a day without.
A workout or a yoga session.
Fantastic. Now, as somebody who has all the workouts, like, how do you pick a workout?
I actually follow my own programs because even as a trainer, like I need to have a structured program so I can just get up and I know what I'm doing. If I don't, then I would waste time just wondering, oh, like what should I do next? And yeah, I think that a program makes all the difference.
I love it. And that says a lot about your own program because you do it too. So, more people would enjoy fitness if they realized.
That you can do it in less than an hour a day.
What would you recommend the minimum each day someone do?
I would say between 25 and 30 minutes for strength.
Mhm.
But when you do your workout, that doesn't mean you should just stop moving for the rest of the day and sit on the couch. The key to really getting to your goal is to move throughout the day and to take those walking breaks and get up and stretch. So every part of the day when you're moving, it really adds up and builds up to what to you reaching your goal.
Fantastic. When I am in flow, I am listening to.
The Jasmine Star Show.
Oh, yes. I love Jasmine Star. I
I
love
love
her.
her.
Yeah, she's fantastic. If you guys are listening and you don't listen to Jasmine Star, you need to. It's all about social media, business, empowerment, all the things.
Yes, I've learned so much from her.
Yeah, I've been following her for years because before she was doing this full time, she was a wedding photographer. So she was like the first to kind of talk about wedding marketing. And it was like, wow, who is this magical being? How is her name really Jasmine Star? It suits her
Right?
so well. The best thing about being a coach is
Helping women look and feel their best every day.
fantastic. My favorite exercise is
Deadlifts.
ah, and my least favorite exercise is
Squats, surprisingly.
squats.
I do not like squats.
Oh, I don't blame you. I can't even when I can't even squat when I need to, like to get something. So for fun, it's not happening. Stephanie, this was so much fun, and I appreciate all that you shared for everybody here. I think it's really going to motivate people. Where can people find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Stephanie Thomas Fitness, or you can go to my website, stephaniethomasfitness.com.
Terrific. All right. Thank you, Stephanie, for being here. Don't forget to follow her because she also posts exercises that any of us can do on her Instagram too. So make sure you're following along. Thanks again, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Nina.